Okay, now we are on to chapter 6, and this video is just a quick little introduction or overview for section 6.2, which goes over these probability rules, explains these probability rules. And so I just want to point out a few things, and then there'll be other videos on the rules themselves. Okay, so, and right now I just want to talk about the first four. So if you're looking at these rules on page 153, and again, you should do the reading, read all of section 6.2, and also use the exercises that are at the end of the chapter. But just to get you going, you'll notice if you're looking at the rules that we have two. The first two are conjunction rules, and a conjunction, you may know, is usually represented with and we have two disjunction rules, and disjunctions are usually represented with or. And in this case, the way we're using or in this chapter, it means either or both. Okay, so for our conjunction rules, we use them when we want to combine the probability for two values with an and. So for instance, probability of selecting someone from a population who is female and voted. So if we're after that kind of probability, then we're going to use one of our conjunction rules. If we're looking for something like the probability of selecting someone from this population who is female or voted, then we'll use one of our disjunction rules. Okay, and next you'll notice that for each pair of rules, there is a general version of it and a special version of it. In principle, the general version, the general conjunction rule, or the general disjunction rule can always be used, but there are certain circumstances, which are just mentioned here, and they're also explained more fully in the reading. There are certain circumstances when it's easier, or you might say makes more sense, to use the special rule, the special conjunction or the special disjunction rule. Okay, and then just quickly, for the conjunction rules, what determines whether or not we should use the general or the special conjunction rule is whether or not the variables, here we're talking about variables, not values, the variables are associated or independent. That's explained in chapter 5. You might recall the easiest way, or at least an easy way to tell if the variables are associated or independent is to look at a diagram of the population. Then for the disjunction rules, the issue is whether or not the values are exclusive or, actually, well, not exclusive or exclusive. That is mutually exclusive. So in our example, probability of selecting someone who's female or voted, those values, female and voted, are not mutually exclusive. Having one of those values, being female, doesn't exclude a person from having the other value voted. So if someone's female, they may or may not also have the value voted. On the other hand, if the values were voted and non-voted, we want to know the probability of selecting someone from this population who either voted or did not vote, then those values are mutually exclusive. Having one, being a voter, or having voted in some specific election, does exclude a person from being a non-voter in that particular election. Okay, so however that works out then determines whether or not we should use the general disjunction rule or the special disjunction rule. Okay, that's all I want to go over right now. So there are other videos that go over these four rules in more detail. But again, do the reading and use the exercises at the end of the chapter.